more specifically Mexico, who now has a new coach at the helm.
Yes.
Diego Cocca.
Yeah, what do you honestly think about that? My initial thoughts before I let you go in is I like Cocca just from the perspective that he is a Liga MX coach. He knows the league exceptionally well. And not only that, he's brought up some good Mexican talent through Atlas. Maybe not personally, but he's given them the spotlight to, win a bicampeón, for example. Players like Aldo Rocha, El Hueso Reyes, Marquez, all these truly Mexican players that don't honestly get really a peek at the Mexican national team. He knows those type of players in Mexico. So I think it's a great signing for Cocca and for the Mexican national team to kind of come together here. Whether he's like the guy, the guy, I'm not set on it yet. I'm going to have to just wait and see. But I wonder what's going to be that point where I'm like, I like this guy or not. Because I don't know. Like, it's going to be the Gold Cup. It's going to be the Copa America. But it definitely has time to figure it all out. But, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I see three different reactions. I see the I love it reaction of, yes, Atlas back-to-back championships, doing something incredible for a club that was unable to achieve that success for so long. It was Diego Cocca who saved them from the depths of mediocrity, man. An incredible achievement within Liga MX history and also with just coaches overall. So that stood out, and that was a big reason for why Tigres looked to him to hire him and take over one of the biggest clubs in Mexico. So he definitely is proven within Liga MX, and he's very knowledgeable, very smart about the league. I completely agree with you there. And when you kind of just compare his intellect and his know-how in comparison to what was Tata Martino, it's a big win in that sense. I think there's a big difference in category there. And I think that's what a lot of people who see this as a positive signing think. But then there's the opposite crowd who hates this signing, who doesn't like it at all and sees yet another foreigner, more specifically, another Argentine leading the Mexican national team. And there's other people who believed if that we were to go for a specific foreigner in Liga MX, that we went for the wrong one, that we should have gone for the Uruguayan, Almada, who was also a big candidate as well. And also the third point is that, yes, people I do think agree with your side of, is he the guy? Because with Mexico hosting the World Cup, this upcoming World Cup, this has to be the guy. You have to find the guy because we will not have a better opportunity to make that fifth game, el quinto partido, than we will have in these next 4 years, man. So it's a big, big responsibility that we're not sure Diego Cocca can fill. But I hate to sound repetitive here on the give and go, but I completely agree with your stance. I'm right in the middle of wait and see. I am in the wait and see category where we have to just give him the shot. I think he's worthy of that. I think he's worthy of the nomination for head coach and to earn the helm, earn the position. I think he's absolutely worthy of that. And I think he's one of the best that we had in Liga MX. So I'm not bummed about that at all. But it's kind of the same approach I've had with most coaches in Mexico, in that it just kind of comes down to how they interact with the players, how they can manage the locker room, how they manage the Mexican media, which can be so daunting for a lot of guys. And oftentimes, I mean, going in, Tata Martino I thought was going to be incredible, but low-key it seemed like the media took him down a few steps from who he was at the very beginning of the process, man.
Wow.
So is Cocca a guy that can deal with that pressure and that animosity? I think he is. I think he's definitely built a lot differently than Tata Martino. But we're just going to have to wait and see what he can achieve. But for now, I'm hopeful and I'm optimistic about the signing.
Yeah, man. You brought up some really, really good points. And I'm glad we kind of agree on some sort of level. But, as you were going, it kind of reminded me that this is low-key very similar to the USA hiring Greg Berhalter 3-4 years ago. In the sense that if you're outside of the MLS, you have no idea who Berhalter really is. It's the same thing here. If you're outside of Liga MX and you don't watch this league, you have no clue who Diego Cocca is. Whereas if you go back for Mexico's last previous coaches, Tata Martino, obviously big coach in Argentina, coached Barcelona not too long ago. And then when you look at Juan Carlos Osorio, very successful coach back down in South America and Colombia as well. And then obviously took the helm of Mexico. But it's not like when they hired Miguel Herrera from America at the time, because that was just more of a desperation type of hiring. I really do think that the Mexican Federation see Cocca as potentially being very, very successful. You said it perfectly. This has to be it. So they must have really thought about this for so long to be like, who is going to be our guy? And I guess all of the arrows pointed to Diego Cocca. And as we've already said, I think only time will tell. But I just do think it's an interesting signing simply because it's just not high profile. It really isn't. It's like probably the most low-key signing from the Mexican national team at the head coaching position probably in over a decade. No, easily in over a decade. So, I'm just so curious to see where this is going to go, man. But hey, congratulations to Cocca. This is a huge. This is a huge moment for Mexico in general, knowing that they're going to be hosting the World Cup in 4 years, but a huge moment for Cocca as well with his own coaching career and seeing what he can do to translate that Liga MX talent and the Mexican talent in Europe and combine it to this Mexican national team.
Yeah, man, when you think about the gap between now and the World Cup, that gap is longer than the rise of Diego Cocca within Liga MX and Atlas.
Yeah.
It was just like 2 years ago
That's
where he
it.
won that first title for Atlas and then the back-to-back title and then Tigres, man. He really has gone through a huge, quick ascension and now has earned himself the opportunity to coach one of the most high-profile teams, international teams in world football itself. Yeah. Mexico, man. When you look at his resume, he's been in so many small jobs throughout his career. He's been in over like 10, almost 15 teams, I think, man. He's been around a lot. But he finally made it to that one big gig, which is a Mexican national team. It's huge for him, bro. Yeah. Contextually, in regards to his career, it's huge. And more so when you compare it to the fan base that Mexico has and the track record they have and what they're trying to achieve. This definitely will be one of the most interesting hirings in international football, and it'll be worth keeping your eye on for the next 3.5 years.
And then likewise, there was talks of Jesse Marsch maybe being the front runner to get the USA job, but obviously those rumors have been completely squashed as it looks like he's going to sign for Southampton. So yeah, I wonder where the USA is going to go because, it took the USA a full year to actually decide on hiring Greg Berhalter, whereas it took Mexico 2 months?
Yeah.
A huge difference, man. And I wonder what the USA are going to do. Are they going to do the same thing?
They're still in limbo, man.
They're still in limbo, right. So I'm actually kind of glad that Mexico made this decision pretty quickly, whereas Brazil, honestly, also is in limbo with not knowing who's going to be the successor to Chiche. So, Mexico off the bat are like, we made a decision, Cocca's our guy, and I think that does have to mean something, right? It couldn't have been a rash decision. And let's hope it doesn't end up being one. But, obviously being a big USA fan, I'm kind of pissed that we always take so long with our coaching decisions, man. And if Berhalters do stay, then can we make an announcement on that? Can we be like, look, Berhalter's going to be our guy, as long as everything's just legally correct, then, make that announcement. I guess it's just too hairy to say so. And if he's not our guy, why aren't we like, all right, we're actively looking for a new coach? Like, just some clarity, man, for the USA head coaching position would be so nice, but we're always left in this weird limbo spot, man.
Canada as well making a decision with who's going to stay as their head coach, John Herdman, once again back after what a lot of people deemed a disappointing World Cup after the way that they ascended in World Cup qualifiers. And real quick, I just want to make a note of this. Have you noticed the way Canada's performance at the World Cup has aged since the tournament ended? Have you noticed how people have talked about Canada's specific performance, getting 0 points, scoring just 2 goals in the whole tournament, but coming out completely empty-handed and, kind of just falling flat after what we even thought would be a really exciting performance? Dude, a lot of people have been hard on Canada since then, man. A lot of people essentially calling them frauds and seeing them as a team that will not threaten CONCACAF after what they saw at the World Cup. Yet what remains is still a very talented core of players. What remains is still a very good system that I think can be successful within CONCACAF. But I'm just seeing a lot of people brush them off after what was, to me, just an inexperienced performance at the World Cup, a performance in which that they were just very, very young. They just didn't know how to approach it. It was the first time that they were there. And although all that was in play, they still managed to play very, very well in that opening match against Belgium. And if things had gone right for them, they could have came out on top in that match, and we'd be talking about a much different tournament performance for Canada specifically. But, man, no, a lot of people like talking shit about Canada, bro.
Dang,
a lot.
That's actually a really good point, man, because regardless of how poor they were, and they were very poor at the World Cup, overall, they had spells of brilliance, but overall, the whole 3 games, they were pretty poor. But regardless of that, I actually see Canada still probably top 2 in CONCACAF. And I'm being 100% serious. And it's because of exactly what you just said. I saw the 2022 World Cup for Canada as an inexperienced experience. Like, they just had never done anything like this since 1982 or whenever it was. It had been so long for this nation, from a footballing perspective, to go from literally nothing to a World Cup finals appearance, man. That's so impressive. But it was too much of a gap. They had not played in any Copa Americas. The only thing they had was just qualifiers in that one cycle and the Nations League. And so for me, their performance at the World Cup was just so inexperienced, and they just didn't know what was to come. And so that's why I'm giving them a pass for sure. Now, I'm going to be seeing them these next 4 years as, all right, you guys got to start playing consistently good now, because you have the talent, you have the coaching staff and the support. You overall have a really good system set up for you guys to succeed. So now I'm going to be harsh on them if they start failing or start faltering. But I do see Canada just being a very, very good team, despite a really bad World Cup performance. So you put all of this together, man, you have a really talented Canadian side, a Mexican side that I think is determined to undo what happened in 2022. They are, like, no matter what, I think whoever starts in that opening match for Mexico, they're not going to afford anything other than a win, bro. It's going to be that personal. For the Mexican players on the pitch, for Cocca still on the sidelines, and for you, bro. For all Mexican fans out there, you won't accept anything other than a win. And that's how personal it's going to get. So I see Mexico as a very, very dangerous side in 2026. And for the USA, man, I mean, we were like Canada, but we just had a little bit more experience because we had players like Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, Brendan Aronson off the bench. We had players like that, Yunus Musa, also with Valencia, who had been playing so good and consistently at club level. And we're going to have that, but with 4 more years of experience, bro. And I think that's going to mean so much. So when you look at the big 3 of CONCACAF for 2026, man, dude, it's looking really, really good.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, despite all these questions of Berhalter, of Cocca's hiring, of Canada disappointing at the World Cup, every single international team of the top 3 in CONCACAF does have a lot going for them in that sense. The way you just said it, man, we're going to see a Mexican team that's as desperate as ever, man. We've never seen them in a position like this because Mexico's never truly failed the way that they did this past World Cup. So I agree with that take. And the USA, if they can bounce off of what they achieved at this past World Cup, then I only expect good things for them. Same with Canada as well too. So these are projects that are still kind of building, still trying to figure themselves out, but the end result could be very, very positive.